For our video project, we decided to interview 3 Cal Poly athletes in order to gain a better understanding of the sports culture and possibly discover some of the dominant gender ideologies surrounding sports at our university. We explore gender equity, performance, and bias, as well as how each of these may impact homophobia in sport. 3 different perspectives were considered for our interviews: a female athlete on a men's team in a male-dominated sport, a male athlete from a traditionally masculine sport, and a female athlete in a gender-neutral sport. While not an extensive nor conclusive study to generalize Cal Poly athletics, we hope that these 3 perspectives help us to confirm or deny the presence of many of the concepts discussed in this course in sport at our school.
My name is Nikki Reef. I'm 21. I'm studying agricultural business, and I play roller hockey for Cal Poly.
Honestly, I don't really notice that it's a huge difference. I've been playing it ever since I was little with mostly boys and or men. So I don't particularly notice that it's weird when I tell other people that I play a male-dominated sport. They're kind of like, "Oh, you play hockey like with all the guys," and I kind of stop and think about it. But I really enjoy it. I guess that's part of what it's like. It's challenging. I have played on teams that are primarily female in the female world, and they're fun, but it's a different culture. There's a different feel. The culture, I don't know if it's just the nature of like males and females, but the culture on the boys team is it's a lot more just for fun, and there's not so much like backstabbing and like I don't know, talking trash about people behind their backs. There's not competition within the team necessarily, whereas like on girls teams there's always inner team competition, whereas like with the guys it's just a competition like against your opponent. Locker room culture, honestly sometimes I don't think they even notice that I'm there, like after you've been playing on the same team for a while. There's definitely have been accommodations in the past. I've had several locker rooms, or like leave the locker room to change spandex or things like that. Currently that's not like a problem, but in the past there have been accommodations made where certain facilities that we go to have, for liability reasons, prefer to have different accommodations. As far as being treated differently, sometimes yes. I don't think it's not in a mean way. It's more of they just don't know what to do with you as a girl. Like they're kind of like, "Oh, this girl, she does hockey and we don't know what to do about her." So yeah, definitely have noticed that sometimes in trying out for teams, as they're like hesitant. Like obviously have displayed like better skill than some other goalies, but they're like hesitant to take you, and that I don't know for sure, but it possibly has to do with like me being female. Also in general I'm just small, so that's also a factor in like picking goalies and things like that. As far as friends and family, not really. Spectators, people's moms really like me. I don't know, they're like, everybody's moms just think I'm fantastic, so that's cool.
Hi, I'm Stephen Pyle. I'm 21 years old and I'm the kicker for the Cal Poly football team. It's just not in our culture for our generation for women to be on a football team or a guy to be on a softball team. So it's something that our culture and our generation aren't ready for, but I feel like if they were a teammate, the respect would be the same. Doesn't matter the gender, competition's competition. So if it is a female or male, you're still gonna battle out every day to get the starting jobs. It doesn't matter. As far as the training room goes, we as athletes all use the same facility in Mott Gym, so having a woman there isn't really that big of an issue. The bigger issue is definitely in the locker room because, I mean, that's a sense of privacy and there is that gender gap that's there, so I feel like that'd be a more pressing issue than in the training room.
Hi, I'm Megan Hettinger. I'm a graduating senior at Cal Poly and I'm on the women's soccer team. Between men's and women's soccer here, men's soccer is probably one of the dominant sports at Cal Poly, so it is a very unique situation because usually both soccer teams aren't as dominant. But the men's program just in general attracts a different crowd than we do, in a sense that they attract the drunk student types, and we're out like on weekends promoting at AYSO clinics and things like that to get more little kids to come to our games, because it is really hard to get students to come. It's like 10 times the more effort than it is for the men's team. But I think Cal Poly as a whole does represent us both equally. It's more so like the coaching staffs that are in charge of that, and the men's program has a really strong marketing. They literally have marketing interns for their team, and we just run AYSO clinics, so our team could do a better job of that, definitely. So this question is actually very interesting to ask me because I'm a goalkeeper on the women's team, which is a very like lesbian stereotype to be a goalkeeper, and it's a very like you should look manly and you should be bigger and like very muscular, and I'm not as much that way. People always say I'm surprised that you're a goalkeeper. But as far as me personally, I think on women's teams, we have a great group of girls, but there's definitely a pressure to be very athletic at the same time. Like when we all go out to like events with each other, and if you're like dressed up and have makeup on, you kind of get made fun of, but it's like lighthearted. It isn't necessarily like meant to be mean, but yeah, it's definitely something to think about compared to like being in a sorority. My personal sexuality hasn't been questioned because I've been dating actually someone on the men's soccer team for like 3 years. But this season, actually, we had a teammate come out as lesbian, and it was kind of like our coach kind of came out for her, which is interesting. So it was never like she came out, but we all kind of knew, and there was never any like animosity towards her, and everyone totally accepted her. But in the past, like the year before I came on even, 2 girls on the team were dating. So I wasn't there during that, but I heard that was awkward in terms of like rooming and things like that on travel trips. But ultimately, my personal team is very like accepting and open, and we wouldn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't 100% be themselves, because ultimately that would hold them back on the field too.
Stephen and Nikki's answers to many of the questions were about what we expected based on the sociological perspectives in this class. Stephen and Nikki both agreed that while teammates would be accepting and show mutual respect towards a female on a men's team, there would be some initial hesitation in terms of how society would react. The more traditionally masculine beliefs among coaching staffs and administration in general seem to be the limiting factor for women in sport. This is interesting because, as we have discussed, there is no significant biological difference between the sexes when it comes to capabilities. Thus, the dominant ideologies that we have about gender is a social construction. Stephen points out that he would be indifferent to a female teammate or competitor in football, which juxtaposes much of what later dated literature suggests. Nikki, on the other hand, says that from her experience playing on a men's team, spectators, coaches, and teammates have either been in awe of her or skeptical of her decisions and abilities. Both women that we interviewed have had long-term relationships with other athletes, and therefore their sexuality has never been in question. Megan's experience, on the other hand, opposes how we expected her to feel about her sexuality. Rather than trying to publicly and outwardly conform to hegemonic femininity to avoid the assumption of being a lesbian, she embraced it and even said that she found it weird to not see her teammates in their athletic appearance. She also commented on the recent acceptance of her team regarding a player that came out, which reaffirms homosexual acceptance in sport by players and teammates.